If you're a homeowner and you just discovered that you need to sell your home quickly, what's most important to you? Is it selling your home and maximizing your profit, getting the most cash out of your sale as possible, or is speed more important and also privacy? Sometimes good folks are in a bind and need to sell their home in an emergency in the shortest amount of time possible, and we'll get into some of those reasons in a bit, but they still want to get as much cash out of their home as possible. You're not alone, but beware of scammers and vultures out there, and watch through to the end because you're going to learn about the ins and outs and some pros and cons of selling your home for all cash to investors or flippers, and to make sure first if it's the best option for you and how to be protected in the process. Aloha, I'm Chris Shomo, real estate agent and owner and founder of Home Sweet Home Hawaii Real Estate, brokered by eXp Realty. Welcome to our channel. Okay, so right off the bat, I'm a licensed real estate agent, and in my 20 years of real estate, I have found that there are two types of home sellers. The first type is the traditional homeowner who wants to maximize their profits from their sale, and they like to list their home with a traditional real estate brokerage. Then there is the other type of property owner who we'll be talking about today. Now, they are the homeowners in which speed and even secrecy are the most valuable commodities. They need to sell their home in the shortest amount of time possible due to a situation they've encountered, like an emergency. So they're looking to sell their home as quickly as possible. And many of these homeowners prefer secrecy and don't want their sale publicized or blasted to the general public. They don't want to have open houses, and they don't want curious neighbors or looky-loos walking through their home. Now, there are pros and cons to each type of sale, which we're going to be sharing with you in the video so you can decide what's best for you. First, here are a few of the most common situations for the type of home sellers who do prefer speed and or privacy. I don't know, maybe you have a family member that falls into one of these categories. Hopefully not, but if you do, we hope this video will be helpful for you. So there's a list of 7, and they include financial distress, a health situation, divorce, a family member is a hoarder, there's an inherited property, mortgage payments are too high and you can't refinance, and the homeowner is a tired landlord. The most common one we see is financial distress. Times are hard and inflation is high, and all the prices at the supermarket and gas pump are just jacked, and personal savings rates are at an all-time low. Tens of millions of Americans are getting deeper into financial hardship, and believe it or not, almost 70% of the populace, they can't even cover a $1,000 emergency. So obviously, if you're in this growing group of financial hardship, both speed and secrecy are likely most important to you in selling your home, and most of all, immediate financial relief. A traditional sale with buyers using financing is a decreasing buying pool for now due to our record high debt to income ratios and high interest rates and lack of savings, with most folks not having 20% of the sales price for down payment. Now, this is where investors offer speed in the purchase of the property, paying all cash, of course, and are usually able to close in 7 to 14 days. The second is a health situation of a family member and escalating medical bills. So this is a very unfortunate one because it does happen, and instances can include the sudden passing of a family member who is the homeowner, or there's a disease diagnosis and medical treatments aren't covered by medical insurance, and they're just mounting hospital bills. You get the idea. Now, when the families are impacted by immediate and unexpected health situations and can't afford the high medical bills, or need to hire an in-house nurse or around-the-clock care, or admitting a loved one into a care facility, these costs can get very, very expensive. And trust me, I've been there. In this situation, speed for finances is typically the most valuable solution. Now, a third one is divorce. Divorce is getting more and more common and happens to over 50% of marriages today. And of course, financial stress, which we have first mentioned, has been recognized as one of the leading causes of strain in marriages. With record high debt to income ratios, record low savings rates, and record high credit card debt, the unfolding debt crisis can be a ticking time bomb for divorce. But because a divorce is so personal, people going through it, they prefer to be private about it for obvious reasons. So for them, they sometimes prefer to sell to an investor privately than going through the more public sale of using a traditional brokerage. And not to mention, as divorce is often a painful and drawn out process, the speed of the sale can be most important to them as well to expedite the sale of their home. So speed is another value proposal investors provide versus the traditional sale. Now, what if a family member is a hoarder? This situation actually happens more and more often, believe it or not, and the other family members feel really embarrassed and ashamed. The family members also don't have the time and the money and the resources to completely clear out the house, remove all the junk, and pretty it up in preparation for the sale. So it's much more appealing to not list their home in the MLS, but to actually sell their home to an investor so the sale is private and no friends or neighbors, and certainly not the general public for that matter, will see the hoarding in the house. Secrecy is key here to have the home sold privately. Now, the last three scenarios are not so personal, but still the speed of the sale can be more important than maximizing profit. At number 5, we have an inherited property. So the sellers of these properties are usually the adult children of their parents, where the parents lived in the house forever, or their extended family members that somehow inherited the property. These homes are usually owned free and clear, so they have little or no mortgage balance remaining, so no major debt is owned on the property, but there's usually going to be a whole lot of wear and tear to the home, and it's totally outdated. So the kids who inherited the home, they won't necessarily have a whole lot of cash to update or renovate the house, and they either live in another state, and logistically they just don't have the capacity or the resources to fix up the home. And typically the family members, they just want ease and speed, where a fast sale is easiest for them, since it could take 3 to 6 months to sell with a traditional brokerage. At number 6, we have non-financeable property, and this is when a buyer can't get financing on the house because the property is just in really bad condition. It's in need of major repair, not just cosmetic, but structurally, for example, or if the home is a major fixer-upper, or if it's in tear-down condition. So the buyer pool, it plummets, since it's nearly impossible to borrow money with conventional financing, so you really need to have a cash buyer. Now, if the mortgage payments are also too high and you can't refinance, that's usually because now your income isn't enough to cover your expenses. Or if you purchased your home with an adjustable rate mortgage and the mortgage rate just increased, with mortgage rates no longer in that really low 2.5% to 3.5% range, but more than doubled, well, that means your mortgage cost could also double. Homeowners in this situation can no longer afford their new high mortgage premiums, and they need to sell as soon as possible before they get behind on their mortgage payments and foreclose on their home. Now, our last scenario is for the landlords out there who happen to be a landlord of an investment property, and you're just sick and tired of dealing with tenants. I didn't realize this, but almost 80% of rental properties are owner managed by individual landlords and not large hedge fund corporations. And the average landlord, they just own 1 or 2 properties, so not several. So if you think about it, if their properties are vacant for a couple months at a time, that can be a pretty big financial hit to their wallet. Then they have to end up paying more than 1 mortgage at a time, which can be a real financial hardship. And not to mention, tenants, they just don't treat the home as if it were their own, so the property can get run down pretty quickly, which means constant renovations every time the tenant moves out. Worst case scenario, if the tenants are in a financial predicament as well and don't pay their rent, well, guess what happens? They can end up squatting and not leaving. This is when enough is just enough for the landlord and they just want to wash their hands and cash out. And speed is the most important in selling the property. So what do you think of all this so far? Do you happen to know anyone who's been in this type of situation before? Feel free to leave us a comment below. By the way, if you found this video helpful, please do us the favor of liking our video and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. And tap that notification bell. That way you'll be alerted when we post new videos and keep you in the loop of the Hawaii real estate market. Okay, so there you have it. The reasons why selling your property to an investor for all cash could make a lot of sense for your particular situation. Now, to sum up, we've noticed some homeowners who are in a tough financial situation or going through a family issue prefer to sell their home privately without the hustle and bustle of selling their home on the open market. Examples of a regular sale could mean all the time and effort cleaning and preparing the home to sell, decluttering and taking hard to move items on multiple trips to the city dump, or spending lots of money and time and hassle making improvements or renovations on the home to help sell it, and installing new landscaping, possibly staging your home with rented furniture, the realtor having open houses for the general public and dealing with nosy neighbors and having to work with the challenges of a buyer's timeline and possible financial problems, not getting approved for their loan in time. Yikes, the list goes on and on. That's a lot of effort for someone who would prefer to just sell quickly with no hassles. This is where teaming up and selling to a private investor can be beneficial. And we do have an affiliate company if you're not interested in going through the traditional route. We can offer a couple winning solutions for you in the sale of your home, whether the investor route or traditional sale, and you choose what works best for you. If you're interested in learning more, feel free to reach out to us. If you're interested in the quick all cash sale, you'll be offered a good price for your home that you want to accept and you're actually happy with, not a horrible lowball offer that typical investors and house flippers tend to offer. You're able to receive all cash for your home, which means you'll be able to close or record and sell your home at a time and date that works best for you, even as little as 1 to 2 weeks versus 3 to 5 months or longer going the traditional brokerage route. They can work on your time frame and at a pace that's convenient and most helpful for you. We would also present to you what you could expect to earn going the traditional route to maximize your profits. If the most amount of money to your bottom line is most important than the speed of the sale or privacy. You get to choose what works best for you and your family situation. Sometimes in life, bad things and tough times happen to good people, and it's our mission to help you in this season to make your sale as smooth and stress-free as possible. If you're feeling overwhelmed or unsure about your next steps, reach out to us. We're here to guide you every step of the way, and you can text, call, or email. Our contact info is below. Here at Home Sweet Home Hawaii, it's our mission to help your home sale be as smooth and stress-free as possible. Mahalo for watching, and until next time, aloha.